Get ready for a heartwarming conclusion to a beloved trilogy because The Groomsmen Last Dance is here to wrap up the story with a mix of romance, family, and self-discovery. But here's where it gets controversial. Does the final installment live up to the charm of its predecessors? Let's dive in. The Groomsmen Last Dance marks the emotional finale of the Hallmark Plus trilogy, starring Tyler Hynes as Jackson, a devoted single father who relocates to Italy to be closer to his daughter Betty. While there, he resists the allure of a local woman, Gabriella, determined to focus solely on parenting. But when Betty confronts him about how his single-mindedness is stifling both her growth and his own happiness, Jackson begins to reconsider his priorities. If you've fallen in love with the first two films, you'll likely feel a pang of sadness knowing this is the last chapter. But trust me, it's worth every moment. Stream it or skip it. The story opens with a nostalgic return to the wedding that started it all. Danny's sister Hannah's big day. This is where Pete, BJ Britt, and Chelsea, Heather Hemmons, first crossed paths, setting the stage for the first movie, and where Danny, Jonathan Bennett, discovered his friend Zach, Alexander Lincoln, was dating someone new, the focus of the second film. And it's here that Jackson learns his daughter Betty is moving to Italy with her mother, a revelation that sets the tone for his journey. The heart of the story. In this third and final film, we finally uncovered Jackson's full story. We already know he's a successful influencer agent and a doting dad to teenage Betty, but his backstory is fleshed out in greater detail. After Danny's wedding in Greece, Betty and her mom, Trisha, relocate to Italy, leaving Jackson heartbroken. Despite this, he maintains a healthy co-parenting relationship with Trisha, who eventually asks him to care for Betty while she's away for work. Seeing this as a chance to reconnect with his daughter and escape his own job-related disillusionment, Jackson heads to the Italian coast. Upon arriving, Jackson has a near miss with a pedestrian, none other than Gabriella, a stunning Italian who scolds him for his distracted driving. It's a classic enemies-to-lovers setup, as they keep running into each other and slowly begin to warm up. Gabriella, it turns out, is Betty and Trisha's landlord and co-owns a local restaurant with her mother, making her nearly impossible to avoid. Jackson offers to help Gabriella with her restaurant's website and branding, a welcome distraction from Betty's complaints that he's too involved in her social life. After working together, Gabriella cooks a meal for Jackson and Betty, a moment Betty secretly orchestrated to bring them closer. But Jackson, fearing he's getting too close, abruptly pulls away before anything can develop. During the town's masquerade festival, where Danny and Pete make a surprise appearance, Jackson shares a dance with a mysterious partner. Spoiler, it's Gabriella. This moment reminds him that it's okay to open his heart. Yet, he continues to resist, claiming he's not ready for a relationship. It takes Betty's blunt honesty to make him see the truth. He's been overprotective, not just of her, but of his own heart. When Jackson finally decides to take a chance, he accompanies Gabriella to her father's vineyard, where she hopes to secure a contract to merge her mother's restaurant with her father's business. Their car breaks down, forcing them to spend the night with Gabriella's gruff, estranged father. The two men bond over their shared experiences as protective fathers, and Jackson convinces Gabriella's father to sign the contract. In doing so, Jackson realizes he must open his heart to avoid becoming a bitter, isolated man. The big reveal, as the mystery bride, who's narrated all three films, reveals that Jackson and Gabriella found love, we return to her hiding spot in an Irish pub where her groom arrives. Here's the twist. The bride is Betty and the groom is Milo, Danny's nephew. But why did Betty run away from her own wedding? Because she felt their love story lacked the epic romance of the groomsmen's journeys. Milo, however, proves her wrong by revealing a childhood arcade game where he secretly declared his love for her years ago. They return to their wedding, where with Jackson, Danny, and Pete by their side, they finally tie the knot. What does it remind you of? The trilogy feels like a modern, multi-film take on 4 weddings and a funeral, minus the funeral. But this installment echoes Hallmark's earlier hit, Two Scoops of Italy, about an American finding love in Italy. Our take: I was utterly charmed by this trilogy, and Last Dance was the perfect conclusion. While I had a hunch the mystery bride was Betty, seeing it all unfold was deeply satisfying. Jackson's romance with Gabriella follows a familiar pattern, but I did wish we'd seen their wedding. However, the real emotional core of the film lies in the relationship between Jackson and Betty, played beautifully by Hynes and Chloe Raphael. Their chemistry feels genuine, and their father-daughter dynamic is both heartwarming and relatable. And let's be honest, protective dad Jackson is undeniably appealing. One small gripe: while Chloe Raphael's young Betty is mischievous and tomboyish, her older counterpart, Elizabeth, Lily Dodsworth Evans, feels a bit too polished and reserved. Narratively, it makes sense to distinguish them, but I wish Elizabeth had retained more of Betty's spark. Still, it's a minor quibble in an otherwise delightful finale. Final scene. As the credits roll, everyone dances at Betty and Milo's wedding to the tune of Shake Your Groove Thing. Betty requests the song so Jackson, Pete, and Danny can perform their iconic choreographed dance, a callback to their childhood friendship. It's a perfect feel-good ending. Standout performance. Chloe Raphael shines as young Betty, balancing teenage exasperation with charm and sweetness. She's the perfect addition to the groomsmen squad. Memorable line: when Betty asks Jackson, "Remember all those times you walked me to school in Italy?" As he hesitantly walks her down the aisle, he replies, "Those were just practice runs." Our verdict: The Groomsmen Last Dance is a satisfying conclusion to the trilogy, tying up loose ends with warmth and humor. Do yourself a favor and binge all 3 films. Stream it. But here's the question: did the final film meet your expectations? Or did it leave you wanting more? Let us know in the comments, and don't hold back.